Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HMIS Program's workflow training. Just a couple notes. We are recording the webinar, so if you want this for a later purpose, we will be sending that out. We have muted everyone, but if you do have a question, feel free to add it in the chat box on the navigation panel on the left-hand side. And it's a little past 2 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, our learning objectives for today are logging in, workspaces, the menu navigation. We'll go through the workflows, the entry workflow and the exit workflow, as well as the annual reassessment. The individual assessments, how to record services, how to edit referrals, how to include case notes and or housing notes, and then we'll take questions. Okay, just one moment while I move over to the client track. Okay, so we are on the test site right now. However, just to log on to your actual site, this is the address bar without, or the address, the URL without the underscore test is the actual address of the live site. For testing purposes, we do have this database as well. So if you do not have access to the test site and you would like to have access to it, please let us know. You can send us an email or give us a call. So again, the URL to the website is www.clienttrack.net/KTCOC. I'm going to go ahead and log on. This webinar is more intended for users that are new or have recently became users of HMIS. So I am, like I said, I am going to sign into the test site. So all of the information you see is obviously not real clients. When you do get your username and password and you log on to this site, you'll enter your username and your password. If you're logging in for the first time, we will ask you to reset your password. As a user, you're supposed to have a unique password, and please do not share it with anyone. So you'll click sign in. The next page is your settings. You're going to select your work group. You may only have one option, but however, if you have more than one option, you'll have them listed here. Then you'll select your organization. Again, you may only have one option, and then your location. And then you click on use these settings. Okay. When you first log in, the system will default to the client workspace. This is what it would look like. However, if you have never logged in and this is the first time you log in, you won't see a client's dashboard because you haven't been working with the client. It'll almost look like if you can't see anything, but once you start entering a client, or if you find a client and start looking at a client, then it would look like this. So a couple of notes. You have your settings here. So if you need to change your work group or your organization, you would do so by clicking there. Yes, by the way, I am Kelly Clarkson for today. And then if you need any help, you can click on that, and sometimes it has user guides and stuff like that. And then this is a sign out button. Please sign out every time you do mean to sign out. Don't just exit out by clicking the X out here, because you will still remain signed in for about 15 minutes after you close out. Okay. So we're going to jump over to the home workspace. You do so by clicking on the arrows here, and then this is your carousel. You can hover over your carousels, and then I'm going to select the home workspace. Okay. This is the user dashboard. Here on the home workspace, you have access to all the reports and all of your case assignments, your active cases. You can change your password. You can find your paused operations and things like that. A couple of features for just the navigation purposes. You can pin your menu. So if you click on this pin here, well, actually, when it's facing down, it's actually pinned. So if you click on the actual dashboard, it'll stay open. This whole navigation panel will stay open. If you unpin it and then you click on the the dashboard, it will collapse the menu. So it just gives you more working space. You can open it back up by clicking on these 3 lines here. Okay. We also have our global search page. This is intended to be able to search across all workspaces. You can search a client, you can search a provider, you can search reports, things like that. You can simply put the client ID number right here. For example, there's that client is 1234. Then you just click on it and it'll take you straight to that information. You can also search for assessments. So if you're looking for, I don't know, barriers. Okay, maybe that doesn't work. It's supposed to work like that though. Universal. It can take you, so this is the assessment, and it tells you on which workspace you'll find it in. And then there's some reports that are attached to the universal information, which are under the home workspace. You can simply click on it and it'll take you straight to that page. So it's not just when searching your clients. Okay, so I'm gonna jump back over to the home page. I'm sorry, the home workspace. And I just wanted to cover a couple of things here. Like I said, you can find all your reports here, all the HUD requirements, the HUD required reports, as well as standard reports like clients and programs, or if you simply want to run a service report, you'll find them here. A couple of new features that came on about March, April were the favorites. So any page that, say you use clients and programs report all the time. You always check on it maybe once a week. And instead of going through the menu page, going through the menu options, and then finding the report you'd like, you can actually pin it to your favorites. And to do that, you would just open the page. And once you get to the page that you want to add to your favorites, you would click on the little star at the top here. It says add to favorites. If you click on that, you can actually change the label by clicking on the label. You can change the label to whatever you'd like. You can do, I don't know, this person here. You can relabel the favorites. So my favorite report, something like that. And then you can save it and they'll automatically pin it to your favorite report. You can remove it by right-clicking on it and select remove. You can manage it. You can also put everything in a container. So you can have a folder and then have the subfolders under that. Okay. So now we're going to jump over to the client's workspace. And again, to do that, you would click on the arrows here next to the client track logo. And I wanted to mention there's also some icons next to the box here. These will take you straight to that page. So say, for example, all you need to do is add a photo or maybe jump straight to the coordinated entry assessment from the client's workspace. You can simply click on that icon and it'll take you straight to it, as opposed to going to the workspace and then clicking through everything. I'm going to cancel this for now. So this is the client's workspace. Anything and everything you need to do for a client, you'll find it here. If you need to enter a client, exit a client, record a service, record a housing note or a case note, edit a client's information, add family members, etc. Everything that has to do with the client, you'll find it here on the client's workspace. Okay, we're going to go through a workflow. So you have two options of a workflow. If you're entering your client into your program, you're going to select the HMIS program intake, regardless of your project type. However, if you're completing a VI SPDAT and want to add that client to the housing priority list, you would use a coordinated intake workflow. For now, we're going to use the HMIS program intake workflow. The first step is going to ask you if you want to use the current client, which will always be the client that's up on your toolbar here. In this example, I have tester, which is a really bad example, but this is a client I was last working with. It gives me a little bit of their demographics here. This is the client ID number, so every client you have up will also provide you with the client ID number. So say this is not the client you want to add, you can always click on Add a New Client. We'll go with that option for today. And then we'll just pick something, Jose Martinez. The first thing the workflow is going to do is look for existing clients. So it looks like there's another Jose Martinez with a date of birth of April 4th, 1982. If that's not the client you're looking for or you need to enter, you would click Next. If this is the client you want to work with, you would simply click on the client's name and it'll take you to the next page. I'm going to create a new record, so I'm just going to hit Next. Okay, next you'll enter the client's basic information. This workflow follows the forms pretty much exactly in the same order. So we'll go through this real quick. Date of birth, that's actually the same date of birth as the client that came up, so we'll change that, 84. Once you enter the date of birth quality will be changed to full. I also wanted to, let me go back up here. Social Security number. I know that some clients don't like to share their Social Security number, but if they're willing to at least provide you with the first 3, the middle 2, or the last 4, it would be a partial, and it's a lot easier for us to merge duplicates. The quality of the Social Security number will default depending on the response that this field has. And we'll continue to add the rest of the information. Race is a multi-field box, so you can select more than one. Gender, we did have some changes here. Beginning October 1st or effective October 1st, the responses have changed a little bit. So now our responses are male, female, trans female, male to female, trans male, male to male, and then gender non-confirming. And we still have the don't know, refuse, and the data not collected options. Okay. And then we hit finished. That's the client intake information. The next page would be family members. It hasn't changed. If the client you're entering has family members that are enrolling into the program with the client, then you would add them here. You'd simply click on the box and add the information. You just go across and add everything for the additional clients. Once you've entered all the family members, you click on Save and Close. The next step is the program enrollment. We're going to select the program. We're going to enter the start date. It will automatically default to today's date, but you can either type it in or select the calendar to select the entry date. ABC Test Project is actually a parent supportive housing project, so that's why we have the housing move-in date, which is now effective October 1st, going to be a requirement for that type of project. So if the client has already moved in, you would enter the date here. If not, you'd leave it blank, and then you would come back to it. You would edit the enrollment and add it then. I'll hit save. Then next, it will take you through the assessments. The first assessment is the Universal Data Assessment. As you can see, the disabling condition question is no longer in the client's intake or in client's demographics. It's now part of the Universal Data Assessment. So it's linked to every instance of like their status at that point of entry. So you would select same responses, yes or no. Then you would come down and select their type of residence. And these questions, they have changed them into 2 buckets. So depending on the project type, and depending on the response for type of residence, you'll receive additional questions. So if you select from the homeless situation options, place limit for human habitation, you'd get the following questions. But if you change it to something from like permanent housing, it depends on if they stayed there less or more than 7 nights, and then you get less questions. So it uses conditional logic to determine what questions you need to respond to, depending on the project type you're enrolling the client into, and to the type of residence they're coming from. So I'll finish entering the information here. Actually, let me change this to yes. So if they were in a stable housing situation, but they were there less than 7 nights, then you would, the system wants to know if they were homeless, if they were street homeless prior to that. And if they were, they'll ask you for the approximate date homelessness started. So you're going to get that from the client, regardless of where they stayed, how many times they were homeless in the last 3 years. Get that from the client. And then the entire time they've been homeless, how many months has that been? So you would select that, select more than 12 months. Okay. Then you would select the health insurance, yes or no. If you indicate yes, you'll need to respond to which type of insurance they have. Medicaid is the proper or the legal way of saying Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal just wants to be fancy, I guess, and rename it to their own name. But Medicaid is not Medicare. Medicare for older people, or for people that have retired. I'll go ahead and save that. Next, for this type of workflow, we'll jump through the barriers. So you can check this box here. It'll automatically default all of them to no. However, if there is a barrier that they do have, the client has, you would change that specific barrier to yes. And we have dropped two conditional questions. So if you've indicated that the client has a barrier, all you have to reply to now is if the condition is indefinite. The receiving services and documentation on file is no longer required. So we'll hit save and close. Okay, then domestic violence is the next assessment. You would indicate yes or no. It uses conditional logic to determine if you need additional questions. So if you select yes, it'll ask you 2 additional questions. If they do not have domestic violence experience, then you can just save. The last assessment is income. You'll indicate if the client has any income within the last month, and it does give you a definition here. So if you select yes on either of these two, the income from any source or non-cash benefits from any source, then you get the drop down of the types of income. So we'll enter earned income, and then down here you would enter the amount. So if you select yes for both, you'd have to scroll down to see the list of benefits. They have removed 2 benefits. It's the Section 8 and the temporary rental assistance. Then you would save and close. Oh, I didn't check off anything for non-cash benefits. And that's the entire workflow. If you've added family members, it will take you through the exact same assessments, whichever is applicable to them, for each family member. Then you'd hit finished. And now you can see that I have enrolled Jose into the ABC test program. His start date was September 1st, and he has 1 household member in his enrollment. Any information that you do record, you can edit. So for example, if you realize after you completed the enrollment that their income was incorrect, you can hover over their assessments and select the financial assessment. And then edit the record that you created by simply hitting this option here, the edit income. You can do the same with any assessment that you've created. So say that they were not getting food stamps, we'll remove that and change that option to no, and then save and close, and you've updated the assessment. You can do the same with the enrollment, and you can do the same with the actual client record itself. So say their date of birth was incorrect. You can come down to the edit client option, click on that, make the change, and then finish. Okay, so let's talk about the actual menu navigation panel here and all the options. The client dashboard is this itself. It includes the demographics, the enrollments, and services. You have your edit client option here. You can add the client's photo. You can just upload it from your files on your computer. You can add family members or family history. You can look at all the client's enrollments. You can look at all the client's assessments. You can click on, or you can record services, record referrals or edit referrals, record any goals, and record any case notes for the client, specific to the client that you have on the toolbar here. If that's not the client you are working with or need to record something for, you can simply click Find Client here, or use the search, the global search functionality and enter the client ID number there. Let's go with okay. So to exit a workflow, actually, let's go back to the client that I just created because Christy has already been exited. There's two ways. You can exit the client straight from the dashboard. You click on the action gear next to the enrollment and select Exit the Enrollment, or you can click on Enrollments, on Enrollments off the navigation panel, and it'll take you to the same page, and then you can select Exit the Enrollment from here. This is also a workflow. The first step is obviously the destination. Where is the client going? You select from the options here, depending on where the client is leaving to. Hopefully it's a permanent destination. Click Save. You can record services to attach to the record at this point, but you don't have to. The workflow will then take you through the assessments. The universal data assessment is the first assessment, which you will only have to select if if they're covered by health insurance. And they'll take you again through the barriers. As you can see, it keeps what you've already recorded, but you can update that. And then income would be based on the client's exit information. So you would record if they have any income or non-cash benefits. Hit Save and Close. And again, if the client has family members, it'll take the workflow through each family member. So you can complete the assessments for each. So that's the entry and the exit. To record a annual assessment, that's only if the client has been in the program for a year. And the annual assessment, there's been an actual description of the, like a description for annual assessment. It has to be within 30 days after or before their annual mark. So this client, I enrolled this client on September 1st, 2017. On September 1st, 2018, this client will be due for an annual reassessment. I can do it 30 days before September 1st or 30 days after, but it can't be before or after the 30 days because then it will not link correctly in reports. Also, if it's a household and the head of household came on September 1st and the spouse came to the program 2 months later, the annual assessment for both of them will be the September 1st date. It's based on the head of household's annual start date. And to add the annual assessment, you would click on the action gear next to the enrollment and select Missed Annual Update Assessment. I think it will just read Annual Assessment. I've already exited the client, so it doesn't read that. It'll take you through the enrollment. No changes. And then it'll ask you if you want to update or annual. You'll select Annual. And then you will complete the annual assessment based on the client's. Oh, see, it's actually giving me alert because it's not within the 60-day window of the anniversary date, 9/1. Let me see if I can go in the future. And it did let me do that. Awesome. Okay, so again, it'll take you through all the assessments, and you'll record the status of the client based on that annual date. Their income, so we would hope that their income would be getting better and not worse. And you finish the workflow. And you would record an annual assessment for every adult member of the household. Okay. So I kind of already went through the assessments. The assessments that are all listed here are assessments that are either a program-specific data element for a different type of like grantee. So I also have the assessments that are required for the SSVF grantees and for PATH grantees. And in addition to those, I have the VI SPDAT and the SPDAT. You can still complete the VI SPDAT here. The coordinated intake workflow is exactly the same as the workflow I went through. However, it does not include the barriers, the income or the DV assessment. Once you're completed with the coordinated entry workflow, you would go on with the VI SPDAT in order to get a client onto the housing priority list. You would click on either if it's a single or if it's a family. You would answer the questions as they've responded. For the city, please enter just the city name. You don't have to be specific here. This question here is only applicable for the Kings County HHSA organization, so that's not required for anyone else. The status will default to open, and then you would select, and this does look a little bit different from what we had before. It actually gives you the score on the spot. And at the end, it will give you a breakdown, and their grand total will come up here, and it kind of tells you what their score falls in. Down here, you would enter the best time to reach them. You would include their phone number and their email, and you can be as detailed as possible here. So you would go ahead and save that, and then we do want to stress the importance of adding a client photo for clients that are going on the housing priority list. It is very difficult to find a client a few months later if we don't know what they look like. So please, after you do complete the VI SPDAT intake and the enrollment, if you can go in, and as long as the client has given you permission to upload the client's picture. So those are all the assessments. Next, we'll go in services. If you do record services, you can add one at a time, or you can do the quick services. And quick services are attached to your grant. So if you don't have any services, like right here, I only have case management. But if no services come up, you would have to contact me so I can link all those services to your grant. So you would select your enrollment, and then you would just check off all the services that you need to record to this client. You can do this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or a monthly basis, but please don't overlap between months. So you would hit save and close, and then all the services will be listed here. You can print, so on every page you will see the options to have a printable option or version. You can just click on that icon here. Okay. I'm actually going to pin this so I can keep this open. So those are the services. Now I'm going to pull up another client, go back to Christy. I think I had already created some records here. And we're going to go to referrals. Okay. So the housing navigators will refer clients based on their score and if they're up on the list. So I know that HMIS users will have to go in and update their referral in HMIS. So to do so, you will pull up your client either by the Find Client functionality here, or there's the global search here. You would open your navigation panel and click on Referrals. The referral will be listed here. To simply edit the referral, you'd click on the little pencil here, the pencil icon. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is change the status from referral made to closed. And once the status is closed, you'll see that the date acknowledged, the result date, and the result will become required. So you're going to enter the date that you've acknowledged the referral. This was created on 9/26, so let's say you have 7 days to acknowledge the referral. You'd enter the result day, so say I'm going to house this person today, and then you record the result, enrolled in program. And if you need more space to give details, say for example, you couldn't house the client because either the client refused the housing or the client needs a different type of program that services that you can't provide, and the client's being transferred over to another program, you can include that detail there. So you'd hit finish. And then you can see that the status of this referral is closed. Again, you can print this out as well. For the case notes, it's very simple. All you have to do is click on the case note for the client that you have on your toolbar, click Add a New Case Note. And these case notes will be restricted to your organization. So if you create a case note that's only applicable, that has nothing to do with the housing priority list, but is applicable to the client for your organization, you're going to click on Case Notes. Give it a title, select the note type if you need to, and then you can either copy paste or you can type your note here and save. And at the bottom, it does allow you to check read only. So that means even other users within your organization will only have the capacity to read the note and not edit the note. So we'll go ahead and save. And to get to housing notes, please don't add a case note for a housing note. Housing notes are meant to be shared amongst all HMIS agencies. That way we can all work with the client on the housing priority list and know exactly what's going on with the client. Housing notes will be found in the VI-SPDAT menu, and you can click Housing Notes here, and then click Add New here, or when you're clicking on when you're going to complete the VI-SPDAT, either before or after, you can add a housing note here. Go Add New. The housing note will always default to Every Door Open project, and the note type, you're going to select the note type. We will have a few more options here to be more specific about the note type, and then you would just enter your note and save. Again, if you want to restrict to read only, you can do so. A cool feature about the case notes or housing notes altogether is that you can filter by type or by the title. And if you want to look at the whole picture in a snapshot, you can check this box here. It will automatically default or automatically check off all of them. Or if you want to only, it's really hard to see here because I don't have that many, but you can sort it by the title, and then only check off the ones that are titled Every Door Open Project, and then hit the print icon. Sorry, wrong button. Print selected, and all the case notes, the whole paragraphs will show here. So you could easily read through all of them instead of going to edit every single one. You can print this, however, it may contain personal identifying information or confidential information, so we ask that you do either shred it or lock it up afterwards. Okay, that is really everything that I have. I am going to open it up for questions. If you guys have a specific question or want to go over a specific feature that I didn't cover in today's webinar, please enter it in the chat box. I don't see any questions. You can always feel free to email me or Miriam or call us here at the office if you have any questions or have any trouble with any of the workflows or just want to learn a different functionality or are stuck in the middle of a workflow or anything like that. I don't see any questions, so I guess that's it. We do have additional webinars later this week and early next week for the specific work groups. I just wanted to show each work group separately. That way it was specific to every agency and the way they saw things. Okay, we do actually have one question about retrieving reports. We can go over that real quick. Again, like I had mentioned, reports are on the home workspace. And I'm not sure which report you would like to see, but they're same reports we've had in the past. We have our HMIS reports. We have the APR and all the exports. And we have the performance measurement reports. And then we also have all the standard reports. The report that I think I like the most, because I think it's just really good to see your activity for the entire month, is the clients and programs report. I can run that report. So all reports have the saved report settings. So if you want to run them on a regular basis and not have to track or not have to re-enter all the parameters, you can save your report. And then you're going to select your date range. So I'm going to leave this for this month, but you have quick options here. You can run it for the previous week, the current week, the second quarter, this year, last year, and so on. I'll leave it as the current month. And then the report type, I think I really like this functionality because you can run the report for clients that have enrolled at any point within this time frame, or for clients that have a new enrollment between this time frame, or have exited between this time frame. I'm going to leave it at enroll at any point for my ABC agency and for my ABC test project. You can also filter by grant or user or age even, or this last option here is to include head of households only. So we'll only show you the head of household and not the family members, but we'll leave that open for now. Okay, and then as you could see, it shows you the status of your activity for the month. One client enrolled, 2 clients exited. So what that tells me is that there was a client enrolled in a previous month prior to September 1st, a total of 3 clients. So if you want to see more of a drill down to see which clients are in this activity, you can click on that little plus sign there, and I have Dana, Jose, Christy, and those 3. So it gives you a little bit of their information, their enrollment, their exit date. See, there was one from August, and you can export this into Excel or PDF by selecting the icon here, clicking on that drop-down menu. Excel is formatted, and the Excel data is unformatted, so it's raw data. You have your PDF option and your Word option. I like to export into the Excel data, which opens right into Excel. So once I have it opened in Excel, I like to filter things, look for things that don't look accurate. Anything that says missing, I'll highlight right away. You have your length of stay here. So this client's been in the program for 5 days. This one's been in the program for 27 days. You can check your bed utilization based off this. You can look at your gender and so on, the age group. So I hope that that's what you meant by retrieving reports. That's one report, but they all pretty much work the same way. You can export any report that you run. These are all the canned reports that are available. Any other questions? And maybe one day I can do a webinar specifically on reports. Let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. Okay, we'll just wait a few more minutes in case we have a few other questions. We still have quite a bit of time. Okay, I will, Dana. Thank you. Do you guys like my picture? Okay, so I don't think we're going to have any more questions. To sign out, obviously you just click on the button that says sign out, and that's a wrap. So thank you all for joining us today. I really hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good day.